When the beat drops, you know exactly what time it is. Hello and welcome into another episode of The Blitz. As always, joining me in the pony personnel, guy, David Schiele.
I love the pony personnel. I'm always ready for a handoff. You know who else is ready for a handoff?
Who?
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
Fantasy managers rejoice.
Yeah, there you go. If you've made it this far.
If you've made it this far, you're probably 2-7 at this point. The Bucs are not rejoicing because we're going to be talking about his 2024 debut against Tampa Bay. What's wrong with the Tampa Bay defense, and why did the Bucs do nothing at the trade deadline?
So let's get to it. This is the 10 and 10, the 10 most important topics you need to know entering Tampa Bay's matchup against San Francisco. The Bucs are currently on a 3-game losing streak. Meanwhile, the Niners have not won back-to-back games yet this season, sitting at 500 despite a 4-4 record. San Fran is second in total offense and 10th in total defense. The last time Tampa Bay beat San Fran was Kyle Shanahan's first trip to Ray J as head coach of the Niners in 2018. Historically, the Bucs are awful against this franchise, sporting a woeful 7-20 record. That's the worst winning percentage in league history against a team anyone has played at least 20 times, David.
And this will not help Evan. Todd Bowles has coached in 4 games against Kyle Shanahan. Well, Kyle Shanahan led offense, if you go back to his days with the Eagles. He is 0-4 in those matchups and has never allowed less than 27 points. This is the 3rd straight year of these two squads facing off. And that's not all. At number 9, Todd Bowles does not do well on short rest. As a head coach, when you factor in his time with the Jets, Bowles is 1-9 in games where he does not have a normal 6 days of rest. He's also 2-8 against the spread, so he's usually not even close in these contests. And at number 8, and as if we weren't providing enough bad news already, Christian McCaffrey is healthy. He will make his 2024 debut inside Raymond James Stadium. The last 2 years, McCaffrey has totaled north of 250 yards with 3 touchdowns in just 2 games against Tampa Bay. Even with backup Jordan Mason stepping in for 8 games, the Niners still rank 4th in the NFL in rushing yards, and Bowles knows his presence just complicates the challenge even more.
That's just another weapon we got to worry about, along with him, Debo, Kittles, Purdy as well. You got to worry about 5 different guys. You can't just worry about McCaffrey. So we got to be sound defensively, and everybody's got to do their assignment because they're talented all over the field.
So while the Niners get healthier, let's go to our sideline segment and discuss what the Bucs are working with between Brandon Ayuk and Chris Godwin. Both teams lost a stud wide receiver for the season. It's a laundry list of names. Baker Mayfield actually logged a pair of DNPs due to a toe issue, but he'll be ready to go. Jordan Whitehead has a quad issue. Vita Vea with his hip. Sterling Shepard and Jalen McMillan have hammy problems. They desperately need this bye week, regardless of who is going to suit up, because after the bye, the hope is guys like Jamel Dean and Mike Evans will be able to return. That will be a huge help to both sides of the ball if that happens. Meanwhile, no help is coming outside the building, but we are talking about someone outside the building for us to help. Bringing back our good buddy, James Yarko, for our Locked On Bucs burning question of the week. And James, what are your thoughts on the Buccaneers doing nothing before the trade deadline this week?
Yeah, I don't think it should have come as a surprise to anyone that the Bucs didn't make a move at the trade deadline. They have limited draft capital for next year's draft on top of already having limited cap space. The number one priority in the offseason should be to re-sign Chris Godwin, so you have to make sure that you have money for that. But just for this season alone, this isn't a team that you go all in on. There's too many holes on the defensive side of the ball to address with just one guy. You need another corner. You need an edge rusher. You need an inside linebacker. So when you lose Mike Evans for a stretch, when you lose Chris Godwin for the rest of the season, and that offense could have carried you deep into the playoffs, you didn't have a defense that was going to be able to win you a championship this year. So it was best for the future of the team to not make a trade this year, work with what you have, focus on still trying to make the playoffs, which I believe that they can, even if they lose to the 49ers, and then you reload in 2025 and you address those positions of need while also making sure that you retain your biggest free agent in 2025.
Thank you so much, James. At number 5, it's not all bad with the Buccaneers defense. Since week 4, there is no team in the NFL with more sacks than the Bucs, who have 23. The only problem is, look at all the names on this list. You see, none of these guys are outside linebackers. Yeah, this dude lines up inside. So there's still a large area of improvement for that position.
It's a large man, too.
It's a large man, right? Yeah, that's how much improvement they need. Also, if you're looking for some accountability, after K.J. Britt played most snaps at linebacker the past 5 weeks, his snap count dropped significantly. Britt saw only 46 snaps in Kansas City, while backup J.J. Russell got 31. Now, since week 3, the defense has held an opponent to 25 points or less just once. So big problems remain, but this does signal Bowles is tinkering and searching for possible solutions. At number 4, while Russell gets his opportunity on defense, Ryan Miller is making the most of his chances on offense. He scored that game-tying touchdown in the final minute against Kansas City on Monday night. He's got a great story, too. The former undrafted tight end out of Furman spent all of last year on the practice squad. He had 4 career receptions before getting trusted in that critical moment from Baker Mayfield. This could be a guy that earns more playing time because, as we mentioned before, there's a handful of receivers hurt.
Last year, sitting behind on P Squad the whole year, really trying to learn and grow physically as well, but is taking advantage of his opportunities, and that's what it's about. You never know when your opportunity is going to come, and he's taking full advantage of it, but that's credit to him of being locked in mentally, getting his body right and being ready to play.
At number 3, Kate Otten is going to have a tough day with the Niners, especially linebacker Fred Warner all over him, but he is having a historic stretch right now. His 25 receptions the past 3 games are the most ever by a Bucs tight end during that time span. Only one tight end in NFL history has recorded 8+ receptions and 75+ yards 3 straight weeks. And that's Travis Kelce, who did it 6 straight times in 2020. At this point, you are looking at a Pro Bowl caliber player. And here's a new segment. Instead of doing 2 and 1, let's make it the 2 in 1. There are 2 key, really hot topics to talk about amongst Buccaneers fans right now, David.
Yeah, that's right. With number 1 being the decision from Todd Bowles to tie the game in Kansas City instead of going for 2.
Well, it started raining more. It seemed like it picked up a little bit at the end. Even though we did a good job in it, I thought we could get a stop if we were on defense. And the momentum we had on offense, I thought that would carry us into overtime and getting some points.
David, did Bowles make the wrong decision?
In my opinion, yes. I know at first I agreed with the call because maybe you get the ball back in OT and then you go win it after you get the ball back. But after I thought about it, Bowles put the game in the hands of a coin instead of in the hands of his Pro Bowl quarterback. So, wrong decision. Not to mention, starting at the 5:50 mark in the third quarter, the Bucs defense was on the field for 30 plays. Giving up nearly 150 yards in more than 15 minutes of action, those guys were gassed.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and let's just keep it a $145.
There you go.
All right? The defense isn't what is winning ball games for the team. Right now, they ain't winning, period, and the defense is a big reason why. The offense is doing so well, so I get it. We got a defensive-minded coach who wants to have control over winning or losing, but Bowles has to be above that. Also saying the decision dependent on weather makes very little sense. If anything, I trusted a 2-point conversion more than a snap-holding kick for an extra point. The real rebuttal Bowles should have used is the refs are probably going to let the boys play in that situation, which is how Cincy got burnt against Baltimore. Okay, as for the other topic, the Buccaneers could be on the verge of going 4-6 after this game. There's plenty of football to be played, but there's a big difference between 4-6 and 5-5. Also a big difference between 5-2 and 4-3 in the conference. With the bye week coming up, the Bucs have played the hardest schedule in the league with only one opponent south of 500, the New Orleans Saints, who just fired their head coach this week. David, the Bucs have the easiest schedule after the bye week. Let's say Tampa Bay loses as significant underdogs this week. Do fans have reasons to be optimistic in this club moving forward?
Most definitely. Now, winning the NFC South is going to be a long shot.
Yeah,
the Falcons would have to go. They would have to go 4-4 the rest of the way. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but getting a wild card spot still very possible. I'm not saying put money down on Tampa Bay running the table, but I do expect to see a string of wins that puts this team in playoff contention.
Yeah, and here's a little factoid for you out there. Only 13 teams in the wild card era, which you got to go back to 1990, have missed the playoffs with double-digit wins.
Yep.
The Bucs already have wins over Philly and Washington. That will help down the road. I'd say 10 wins gets you into the playoffs. So with a really soft schedule in the back half, if they lose against San Fran, going 6-1 down the stretch is very doable. They'll be favored in 6 of those 7 games.
For sure.
But of course, the margin for error, very thin. Let's go to our all-out blitz and our parlays of the week. We both were one off with the Chiefs game. Bounce back coming. I think Bucky Irving is a steal at over 2.5 receptions. He's hit that mark ever since Chris and Mike went down. The Bucs can't guard tight end, so give me Kittle. Plus, Baker has gone over that rushing prop all but 3 weeks.
So you know what's crazy? We agreed on 2 of the 3 picks this week. We better make some money. The only difference...
Synergy.
Right. The only difference I have, Christian McCaffrey finding the end zone in his first game back. There's got to be a play in there for him somewhere. As for what's cooking on 10 Tampa Bay, we got one game. That's it. Just one game. It's the Philadelphia Eagles and whatever is left of the Dallas Cowboys. That team is in absolute shambles right now. Someone who's not in shambles? Your boy. Look at that. I have one loss to my name. While Evan, you got a long way to go, but you are 5-4, so you got a winning record.
Yeah, we talked about the optimism in the Bucs. I believe in myself moving forward.
There you go. So King of the Court goes first. I got a game to give. So I'm actually going to go with the Bucs today in a shocker. Now here's why. They're desperate. They're desperate. Baker is not a guy I'd want to face when his back is against the wall. And the phrase goes, any given Sunday, right? It's going to take a lot of points, but I got the Bucs winning 35-30.
Whoa, yeah, you know, I don't see it that way, so hopefully you're right and I just keep going on my slide. But you cannot pick a worse spot for the Buccaneers here. Short rest, just lost a heartbreaker on Monday Night Football. Niners coming off a bye, McCaffrey back. Shanahan is going to run circles around this Bowles-led defense. I think San Fran wins. I think San Fran covers. I got the Niners 34-23. In this contest. I was not expecting that one, so...
I got a game to give.
All right, hey, you know what? We'll see what happens. Thank you for joining us on the Blitz. Remember, kickoff is at 1 o'clock from Ray J against the Niners. Also, we will not have a show next week since the Bucs are on bye, so we will see you in 2 weeks as Tampa Bay prepares for the New York Giants. That is David Schiele. I am Evan Closky. This is the Blitz. We will see you same time or same place in 2 weeks.